Ahoy there, Krusty Bomb and Wolverine. Hold on a second, guys. I'm still getting stuff situated here. Okay, looks good. Let's give Susan a moment to see if she will grace us with some notifications. Oh, please, Mistress Susan, may I have another? Yeah. Hey, Lachlan and Cesaro. Yes, today we're going to talk about more, possibly the most important element of the Curtis 2024 campaign, which is the idea that everybody in America should have an opportunity to become as exceptional as they want to be. They should absolutely have an opportunity to chase any dream that they want to chase. Nobody has a guarantee of exactly how far you can climb, but everybody should have the ladder placed in front of them. And I don't think that is nearly as difficult a situation to create as people would have you believe. And I think there's a lot of ways it can be done, and today we're going to talk about a bunch of them. Brax abuse stream when? Well, since he's not here, Wolverine, I don't know. I'm not sure what we'd be doing to abuse Brax. So what I'm saying is there are a lot of inequities in America. Some of those inequities result in certainly it being more difficult for some people than for some people more. Some of those inequities result in it being more difficult for some people to achieve than it is for others. To bring that all to equality so everybody has the equal opportunity would require a lot of work. It would require a lot of work on behalf of the government. It would require a significant amount of effort from those who wish to achieve and have those opportunities to achieve. But I think there's a relatively painless and simple way to get everybody on the same page. I think that's the greatness of America, when everybody has that opportunity. Now listen, in America, like any other society, you have people that don't have drive, don't have ambition. Everybody's different. That is what it is. But to be perfectly honest with you, if you don't have any drive, if you don't have any ambition, and you don't want to try and achieve bigger things, then get left behind. I mean, the government should not be your nanny. Now, that's not to say that those of us who don't have certain abilities, that for disabled people, somebody injured, somebody who can't work for this reason or that reason. Listen, we have programs in place to help out, and I think those are vital, and if anything, could be expanded. But I'm talking about making sure that everybody that wants to have an opportunity to achieve something, and it doesn't have to be grandiose. I mean, sure, we'd all like to be billionaires, but let's be honest. How many of us are willing to put in the grind it generally takes to become a billionaire? You don't have to want that. Maybe all you want out of life is basically like the life I led and really, really enjoyed, is to go out there, do your work, grind away enough that you can go on a vacation, once a year maybe, have time still to spend with your family, have a few extras here or there, and just enjoy your life. Everybody's got a different level of what they want to achieve. And we need to make it so that everybody has that opportunity to do it. And in this stream, we'll talk. I want to get you guys' feedback on it, and we'll talk about the ways to do that. Brian says, there is a huge lack of muffin buttons in kitchens everywhere. What will you do for the little guy? Listen, I can't have a muffin button, Brian, or I will do nothing for anybody except push the goddamn muffin button. Muffin button. I think there was an extra button in there. I think it sufficed to say, but push the muffin button. Yeah, I'd like to say that I stand behind that, and I might be able to get behind assistance for other people gaining it, but I know me. If you give me the muffin button, I'm going to push that all day until all I want to do is just sit in the corner and go, ugh, and then take a nap. Well, thanks, Sean. I appreciate that. I hope you're doing well as well. I'm sticking with my guy, Vermin Supreme. I want that government pony. Ultra Luke says, if I was POTUS, social disputes would be settled by dueling, the army would be renamed the X-Men, and cancel culture would be a felony punishable by firing squad. I don't think I'll go to any of those extremes, but what I'm saying is I want everybody that has, again, everybody that has that quote-unquote American dream to have the ability to chase it. That doesn't mean that, as I said, that everybody is going to achieve everything they want. That's just life. You know, it's when I was a little kid, from the time I was a little kid, I told you guys this, I always dreamed about playing baseball in the major leagues. It's a dream I pursued, and I played ball, and I found out that I wasn't quite good enough for that. It didn't diminish the dream at all. Didn't diminish all the great memories I have from playing ball and pursuing that dream. But you find out that something might not be attainable, and then you redirect your focus and you go after something else. Fortunately, I also enjoyed wrestling, and I got the wrestling bug later in life, but I got it really strong, and I got to enjoy a career that I wouldn't trade for anything. But financially, there's some work to be done to make sure that there is that equal opportunity for everybody. And unfortunately, what we get from government in pretty much every situation is extremes. We either got one side saying, okay, well, the only way we can raise people up is if, we all just give big hunks of our money to the government and let us redistribute it. We'll take care of you, because that never can go wrong. Anytime you give a lot of money to the government with the idea of having them redistribute it properly, that never works out poorly. That's a little bit of sarcasm in case you hadn't caught it. And then you have another side that seems to think that if they make things cushy enough for those at the very top, and I don't even mean as individuals, I mean more as corporations. Oh, bad dog, Stream Boss. If they make things cushy enough for those at the top, that will just naturally work its way down to those who want to rise up. And that's that doesn't work that well either. And there is a very happy medium. Sajil says, President Candy. Well, thanks, Sajil. I'm counting on your vote. Poppy says, I wish I could drive, but I have 2 seizure disorders. Oh, that sucks. It's extremely annoying the amount of things I cannot do due to neurological disorders. Yeah, I'm sure it is. That does suck, Poppy. And Poppy then is a good example of what we're talking about. Because of that, being able to, if Poppy has this dream of achieving certain things in life, there aren't as many avenues open to her as there might be to someone else, simply because just what she expressed. She can't drive, first of all. That limits you there. And that's where I think government needs to level the playing field. And in cases like Poppy, that's when government has to be there, not as your nanny, but as a, how do I want to put it, a purveyor of creating a level field. If somebody has a disability that requires a little bit of assistance, extra assistance, to allow a person to get to the things that they want to get to in life, then we need to have those programs in place. And for the most part, we do. We know that government doesn't run anything particularly smoothly, but those having disabled children, I can tell you that those programs are in place. And while there is a lot of red tape, they do, for the most part, work. But what I want to see is like where you have inner cities. Where I live is a good example of what I want to describe here, because I live in a pair of counties here in upstate New York that are economically depressed, wildly economically depressed, very, very poor counties. Now you can take inner city counties and they're economically depressed. However, people here have a better chance of achieving than do a lot of those inner city counties, simply because we don't have the crime and the violence. Now, when you take that a step further, the crime and the violence then keeps the amount of opportunity away, because you don't have businesses that want to set up in high crime areas. So you're losing out on jobs. You generally don't have as much easy availability to higher education. Like here, we have a community college that's a well-respected Cowtown Community College. I mean, we call it that, but the fact is, it's a very respected college that's not far from us, and there are transportation options to get to that school. There are more opportunities here. And I think if a president sets out to do it and puts the steps in place to go into these inner cities where things are really depressed, and you say, listen, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to try and set it up for you. We're coming in to try and help you. We're going to try and get some businesses in here, get some more jobs. What we want to do is get the opportunities here for you. It doesn't have to be college. We want to get good trade schools involved. We want to start looking at, and this is in a broader sense, if one thing COVID has told us, it's that for a lot of higher learning, remote learning will work just fine. We can't say that it won't now because look at what we've just been through. So it will work. I've always been a big proponent of making wise buying choices with your college, with your next level education. And I think that needs to be expanded. The opportunities for getting a good quality, respected degree through online sources because it's so much cheaper. Not only that, I think we need to go into these inner cities and say, okay, we're going to give you these options for education. We're going to give you these options for trade school. All we're asking is you've got to work with us. If you see that we're making a real effort and we're trying to help you be able to live the same potential dreams that everyone else in the country has, you have to help us. You have to make some societal changes. You have to start saying to the people in your own neighborhoods, listen, let's take advantage of this opportunity and jump on it. Let's not look at life like, okay, it's a dead end and the only option I have is to join a gang or to go down a path that's not going to serve me well. And a lot of people say too, I've heard this a lot, because it's true, statistically it's true. In the inner cities, you have a much, much higher percentage generally of single-parent homes. That's true, but if you look closer into those statistics, that does not necessarily mean that say the father is, it's a single mother at home. That doesn't mean the father isn't involved. It means that he's not living in the home. A lot of inner city fathers are still involved with their children's life, and these are all the people we got to get to and say, listen, talk to your kids. Get your kids excited about what their future can be because we're willing to help you, but we can't do it successfully unless you're willing to help us, unless you as a community are willing to say, okay, we've got to make our climate here more desirable for the people who will come in and provide us jobs and provide us educational opportunities. And then you get the government giving them a little boost, these companies, a little something extra for setting up shop there. Give them a break here or there, and it can be done. It can all be done. It beats the hell out of sitting around and waiting to have, mommy and daddy government come in and give you stuff. It's so much more satisfying to work for something and to achieve something. Brian says, my sister's disabled. She has CP. Oh, that's my daughter and my adopted son both have CP. She just moved out of the house, assisted living facility, of course. But don't ever tell me something is possible if you put your mind to it. Brian, some of the, when I worked for one of the local county, they call them the ARCs. It's an old acronym. It stands for Association for Retarded Children. But basically, it's the county setups that provide services for developmentally challenged people. And when I worked there, it was many years ago, but that's where my wife and I actually first met, both working there. I used to drive a bus for them. Some of the hardest working people I ever met were disabled people. And disabled people are, other than they don't have maybe all the same abilities as do those of us with quote unquote normal abilities, or what are the most common abilities. But I'll tell you what, they're no, and this gets missed by a lot of people, they're no different than the rest of us. I met a lot of great people among the disabled community. I've met some assholes. They're all there. And man, I have met some hard workers. I've met some workers that put me to shame. Susie, the woman with Down syndrome who I told you about, who we lived with us for the last 15 years of her life, she lived with us full time. She worked on piecework. You couldn't pay a regular hourly rate because Susie's abilities didn't allow her, to produce enough to get a regular hourly rate. So they would work on piecework. Now, sometimes her weekly paycheck would be $9. Sometimes it'd be $7, but you never saw anybody more proud of that paycheck than Susie. she'd come home and she'd get her paycheck on a Friday and she'd slap that bitch down on the table like, what? That's right. I'm bringing food into the house. That's what I'm doing. But she loved to work. One of my mind says the first step forward is for the people in power to admit there's an equal opportunity issue. As long as racism, classism exists, it's a steep hill. It is, and I agree with you, Money on My Mind. That's exactly what we're doing. Is we're recognizing that it is. Yes, everybody does technically have an opportunity to excel now in America. It's a much steeper slope for some than others, but I do think there are ways to bring that slope down. Now, it would absolutely require, though, from these communities where they don't have that level of opportunity, it would require them to work as well. They're going to have to help too, because you can't force companies in there. You can't force a lot of opportunity into an area where they're going to be victimized. The people of those communities have to be willing to band together. And I understand why they haven't, because they haven't been recognized. But if government's coming in and we're saying, this is our plan, look, here it is, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. We're going to try and help you. Now you need to help us. You know, you got to talk to your kids, talk to the neighbor's kids, talk to anybody's kids. Say, listen, let's raise all of ourselves out of this shit. There are going to be opportunities here. It doesn't have to be an opportunity to become a CEO. It's an opportunity to live a good life, have some things in life, achieve the things that you want to have. Again, take a vacation maybe every year, live in a decent apartment. It can all be done. And there are ways to put it all into place, but everybody's got to want to work on it together. And you're right, government has to 100% understand that some people do not have the same opportunity. And we got to fix that. Jester says, "What does a Marine say when he loses his nuts? In the Navy, you can sail the seven. When he loses his nuts in the Navy, you can sail the seven seas." I'm not getting that one. What does a Marine say when he loses his nuts? In the Navy, you can sail the seven seas. Jester, you lost me with that one. What does a Marine say when he loses his nuts? In the Navy, you can sail the seven seas. I lost that one. I completely lost that one. Yarborough says, busy pooping made me think of you guys. Well, thank you. We appreciate that. We like to be thought of. Poppy says, many jobs reject me due to my seizures. I'm a liability, apparently. Sex. Well, I mean, Poppy, I don't think it would be fair to call anyone a liability. I think there are certain jobs, I think you would agree, Poppy, where anything where your seizures can put you in danger, I think, then it's just someone looking out for you. But I do believe there are positions out there where your seizures will not preclude you from doing a job. But I mean, it depends on why an employer has said that. Again, if it's for your own benefit, it's to protect you. If the employer is saying, no, this job, if you have a seizure, this could happen, that could happen, you could get swallowed up by machinery or something, then they're looking out for you. But that's why too, I think it's government's responsibility for someone like you to say, okay, now this is a case where, and again, I am very anti-government as a nanny, as a mommy and dad, but that's not the case. As humans, the best thing we can do is help out those who need a hand up here or there. And it's going to be tougher for Poppy. So if we can get in there and either help her find a place to work, maybe we can create a situation or talk to employers about, hey, can you put this type of plant here? Can you put this type of work or this type of industry in here? Maybe we can work it out. And if we can't, that's where government needs to come in and subsidize people. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not getting a handout because life has dealt you a difficult hand to deal with as far as being able to get out in the workforce. But I don't think much of anybody has any problems paying taxes to help out people who are just trying to get ahead. That's what it all amounts to. And I think that gets lost sometimes because, again, you'll hear a lot of, this side doesn't believe in helping poor people. They think poor people should just, be swept away. And maybe some do. But that's not the case. It's a case of people are willing to help those who, A, can't help themselves, or B, are just busting their asses and just are unable to get over that hump and get ahead. Yeah. I don't think people ever have problems helping out in those situations. Filmmaker says, I think federal government needs to relinquish power and make states lead more. That would fix a lot in my opinion. We can do a whole stream on that, Filmmaker, because we are on the same page there. I think states' rights are hugely important. I think as the federal government goes, and in the Curtis administration, I want the government to be there as the protector of keeping everything fair and equal as much as possible. But at a state level, particularly there's a lot of economic issues. It's just like minimum wage is a perfect example. It varies so much what would be a working minimum wage. I've outlined this to you guys before, the difference between where I live and 150 miles south in New York City. So I believe that the government has to be kind of a referee, in essence, between the people and their state governments to make sure that everybody's treated fairly. But that's as a watchdog and as the person who throws the flag when there's a penalty, not to get in there and try and micromanage everything like the federal government tries to do. I agree with that 100%. I think that works out better for everybody. Yarborough says, I myself have Asperger's syndrome. It's kind of like ADHD and OCD. I'm familiar with Asperger's, Yarborough. It's hard to be normal, but sometimes things pop in and I got to figure it like a puzzle. And that's what I mean. It's, everybody has their challenges in life. But when it comes to being able to achieve that dream, and by that dream, I just mean, being able to have a decent job and being able to do that vacation once a year and bring in a paycheck for this and for that. Some people's stumbling blocks are much bigger than others. And that's why I say the federal government needs to be the arbiter of fairness. So when you do have, like Yarborough's talking about, he has a condition that's going to make it difficult for him. So the government needs to have his back. The government needs to have his back in that we need all counties to have specific and significant interactions with people in the disabled community in trying to assist them in being able to get jobs, in being able to get decent paying jobs. And they can work well as a go-between. I've seen it work in action. And in some cases, in a lot of cases, because maybe your disability is not going to allow you to have, let's just say truck driving. Like with Poppy, you can't, truck driving's a great profession. I did it for years, did really well in it, enjoyed it, got paid decent amount of money. But Poppy can't do it. You can't do it with seizure. I mean, which is understandable. Obviously, if someone is prone to seizures, you can't have them behind a big rig on the road. So that's where the government steps in and says, well, here, this isn't the job that, it's an entry-level job. But what we're going to do is we're going to give you a little something extra to make sure that you're able to be able to achieve and be able to find your way, even with your disabilities, to be able to maybe find your way, your niche. Maybe it's in YouTube. Maybe you're going to make YouTube videos. Who knows? I think we need to expand. We need to expand the whole work at home fields. Now that's taking place on its own because of COVID, but I think companies need to be encouraged wherever possible to have a workforce that can work from home because it makes it better for everybody. Childcare becomes more accessible. If we work as a government with employers and say, listen, if you have a job, whatever your job may be that can be done remotely, if you can, and we're going to encourage this as the government, we're going to encourage you to hire people where you say, okay, this is the amount of work I need you to accomplish this week. And there's a lot of positions where you can do that. And then that employer backs off and says, now you get it done. Get it done on your own schedule. Not all jobs do have to be there in person. I have a friend who works in the accounting field. Now, I know for a fact a lot of accounting jobs could be just like that. Okay, these are the things we need you to accomplish this week. There you go. Talk to you if you have any issues with it or anything. Now that person is allowed, if they want to get up, maybe they have to do stuff with their kids all day. They're highly motivated. They're like, I'll just work during the night. So they can work between midnight and 4 a.m. to get everything done. We need to start accepting the fact that technology gives us a lot of opportunities to help people become exceptional. We need to stop dragging our feet against that stuff. And if nothing else, COVID has proven COVID has shown how that can happen, even in your higher education, because for so long, it was like, well, if you got a degree from University of Phoenix online, what are you, a loser? No. What the hell difference does it make if you gain that knowledge in a classroom or in front of your computer? If you gain the knowledge, you got the knowledge. Now, granted, some things are going to be hands-on. You're not going to be able to become a neurosurgeon and have all your classes at home and never have actually cut anybody's head open. But there's a lot of fields where it is entirely possible, and we got to start recognizing that, and we have to start encouraging that. I don't know what you mean, Yarbra. He says, I mean, it's not hard to be normal. I think, yeah, and I like that you put normal in quotation marks, Yarbra, because I think, yeah, normal is clearly not, and I think this is what you're saying by that, it's not an easily defined term. It can't be defined. It can't be defined. There are so many different levels of what would be normal. It's just to say that, just like you and we were talking with the issues that you're encountering, some people, it's going to be a much steeper climb to get to a certain level than it is for other people. Excuse me, Brian. Hey, it's no more magenta. Thanks for the pussy pink sky, Brian. I appreciate that. I still remember the word magenta, too. That surprises me. I'd love to see some transitional apartment housing programs for the homeless. Yep. Job placement programs, counseling, family reconnection, social workers in play, etc. Something we desperately need more of. Picking up our fellow man where they're down. I agree. And people, a lot of times people are surprised that I have that take because it seems very liberal. Listen, I've told you guys, I'm as down the middle of the road as it comes. But my stance, in a nutshell, and everything that I feel, say, or everything that I would try and legislate is born off the fact that I think everybody who wants to try and get ahead should have every opportunity to do so. I think anybody that's willing to put in effort deserves to have that effort rewarded. And that's where I think it's government's responsibility to help that take place. That's why I am not a supporter of single-payer health care, because I think there are much better ways to getting everybody covered with health insurance than giving big, massive amounts of your money to the government and letting them redistribute it. They don't do it well. Your government does not handle money well. And you're adding in a step where I guarantee you, there's going to be so much waste involved in that, just like there was in Social Security. The only truly national socialist program we have is Social Security. And I don't know why people who are in favor of socialism point that out, because it's a mess. Because we fucked it up. Because our government screwed it up. They don't handle big tasks well. I'm sorry. They just don't, especially anywheres where money's involved. I am much more about scaling back for big companies, scaling back all these tax breaks they get, all these extra little dollops of icing we give them on top, and saying, okay, here's what we need you to do. I've told you guys this before. You got a gold, silver, and bronze level of health care. These are the parameters of what designates each. You offer these to all your employees, and then we're going to start giving you all kinds of tax breaks, because that means it's not costing the government as much money. And I still say that's going to end up in the long run being a much more cost-effective way of doing things. Now, if you work for a small-time pizza joint and he can't afford to give you health care, there's got to be a buy-in to health care that is prorated. Because again, if somebody's out there busting their ass hustling pizzas, delivering pizzas for 40 hours a week, they're not making enough to pay for the health care in the open market. That's where the government needs to come in and say, okay, we're going to let you buy into basically a Medicare system. And in fairness, Biden has something similar to this in his health care plan. Let's be fair. We're going to let you buy in, and it's going to be based on your rate. We want you to still be able to live. So maybe we'll give it to you for free. It might cost you, who knows, it might cost you $20 a week. We're going to prorate it all. That's where government steps in. Then it's not as big a hit to the economy. It's not as big a hit to the tax rolls. And you're getting out there and you're taking care of the people who want to do for themselves. If somebody is able-bodied and just decides that they don't want to contribute, then you're going to get what's left. I mean, it's government's job to take care of them to a certain degree, of course, because they still have children who shouldn't be adversely affected by the fact that their parents don't have any motivation. But you can't expect to excel if you don't want to put in any effort. Yeah, we did, guys. We got some pussy pink here. Poppy says, check last post. Okie dokie. Because I don't have the serious shaky seizures. It literally looks like I've just passed out. Yeah, Poppy, with my I know exactly what you're talking about. You guys know my stepdaughter has had seizure activity her whole life. We've seen the whole gambit of seizures. I know the type you're talking about. Well, I'm jumping to conclusions. I think I do. I've seen something similar to what you're describing. It almost looks like that type of seizure is almost like you go into a zone. You're just like, it seems like to the outward appearance, like the person is flatlined, they're just gone. I assume that's what you're talking about. I've seen those types of seizures. But and that's what I mean. So Poppy's up against it. We know when she goes out to look, when any one of us with, again, quote unquote, normal abilities goes out to look for work, this is the field that's open to us. Well, Poppy's field is here because for her own safety. Again, we'll use it doesn't have to be a truck driver, it could be a cab driver. She can't do it because it would be dangerous for her. So that's where government needs to come in and make sure the playing field is level. And if there isn't a lot of opportunity in Poppy's region because of, the lack of that wide spectrum of availability in jobs, then government needs to come and say, well, we're going to help you out. We'll help you because everybody who's willing to work, everybody who's out there trying to get ahead deserves to be able to do so. Jester said, I went into a business asking for a coat hanger because I got locked out of my car. The people at the abortion clinic didn't find it funny. No, I don't imagine they would. I'm sure they would say, call AAA and throw you out on the curb. Money in my mind. Perfect analogy. Government handles money like a drunk at a casino. Could not agree more. That's why I don't understand why people think that it's a good idea to significantly raise taxes so that the government can take care of your health care. The government can take care of anything. The government can't take care of anything. There's going to be massive amounts of waste, and all it's going to do is bring everybody, instead of having a chance to be exceptional, everybody can just be mediocre. And that's what we'd be settling for. That's bullshit. That's not how you want America to be. It's not how I want America to be. Philip says, honestly, I'm inclined to agree with Ryan on this. Here in Canada, we have a homeless problem, yet our government prefers to bring in immigrants in massive waves instead of dealing with homeless among Canadians. Again, you guys are preaching to the choir here. I'm not a nationalist to the degree that Trump was by any means, but I believe while you have a responsibility to the rest of the world, a significant one when you're America, because of our standing militarily, so on and so forth, you do have that responsibility, but your first responsibility is always to your own. And that's not just America, that's every country. I don't understand why every country should adopt that. I mean, again, it's fine. You want to have a wonderful relationship with as much of the world as possible. You want your allies to know that they can count on you. But that doesn't preclude you from making sure that your people are taken care of first. I completely agree, Philip. It's just like I say, it's why I'm in support of a secure southern border. Not because I don't want immigration, because I want us to know who's coming in. And I want us to be able to say, okay, listen, whatever, it's tough times in America right now. And, we want people to be able to come in, but we have to watch our numbers because we don't want to, destroy our own economy. We don't want to take in more than we can support. That's why I'm for that. Not, again, because I have anything against immigrants. I'd like for everything to be thriving and doing well where, people can come in if they're willing to put in the time and effort it takes to become a citizen here. I would love to see more and more immigrants come in, but legally. So we know who is in here and we know why people are in here. Yarborough says, to clarify, I posted about Asperger's and accidentally said it's hard to be normal, then corrected it that it's not hard to wear the normal. Oh, okay, I got what you're saying, Yarborough. Then corrected it, it's not hard to wear the normal. I see what you're saying then. Yeah, so I see what you're saying. It's not hard to, for all outward appearances, be quote unquote normal. I get what you're saying, but that's the thing. It's, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. That's what I'm talking about. Things are going to be a little more difficult for you because you have to do that. You have to take that extra step of making an appearance of this quote unquote normalcy, whereas somebody without your issues doesn't have that step to take. And that's where government needs to be involved. But again, I don't understand, and I think you guys will agree with me on this. Our government is always about the extremes.
Oh,
It's always either, okay, let's just let government
yeah.
take over everything. Hey, Philip Streamboss. Let's let government take over everything. Just give us all your money and we'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. We got you. That's horrible. Ridiculous. And then you got the other side of government going, well, you know what? You know how you get everybody equal? You give lots of money to those on top because they create the jobs, this, that, and the other, and it trickles down. Well, no, it doesn't. I mean, to a degree that works, not to the degree that we've seen recently. I mean, it's always a good thing to have, you want your corporations to do well. You don't want your corporations to do so well that everybody at the top is a billionaire or a multimillionaire, and then those at the very bottom are struggling to get by. And I am not about wealth redistribution at all in any way, shape, or form. What I'm looking at then is if you've got that going on in the company, you're not getting any fucking tax breaks. Why would I give you more tax breaks? Because the idea is for it to trickle down. You're not letting it trickle down now. Why would I think giving you more is going to convince you to let it trickle down? And I'm somebody who believes trickle-down economics can work, and it can, if it's not corrupted, if it's not perverted. But if you've got a corporation, and we can come in and see, and I can go through and I can say in your warehouse, people don't have decent health insurance, but everybody middle management and above is a millionaire, yeah, we got a fucking problem. I'm not going to take your money away from you. I don't believe in that. I don't believe government should have the right to do that. But I ain't giving you tax breaks. You're going to goddamn well pay your taxes. That's what pisses me off. And it's always got to be extremes. You know, then you have the other side saying, you know, eat the rich, kill the rich. No, they do provide the jobs. Yes, that's why government needs to be the referee. Because that's where the referee comes in and says, no. No, you don't, you don't get another piece of pie when you've eaten the whole goddamn thing anyway, and the people on the bottom are only getting the blueberries that fell off your fork. I like my analogies. They always have something to do with being a fat guy. That's where government needs to step in. People have that misconception a lot. It's not so much personal taxes on millionaires and billionaires. It's corporate that's not paying their fair share. And again, I was somebody who always believed that there is a level of reality to trickle down economics, but not the way we've been the course we've been going with that recently. Filmmaker says last post. Okay, let me see. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. It's the same thing with people that want UBI, universal basic income, from the government. Do people see how terribly this country manages money? Now they want to give them more. It's idiot. Well, and the thing is, too, Filmmaker, what I don't like about when they do things like UBI is I don't like them trying to shade how they plan on doing it. They'll say, oh, no, we're not going to raise your taxes. And they're going to say, yeah, it's going to be paid with a VAT. Do you know what the third part of that acronym in VAT stands for? It stands for tax. Value added tax. Yes, you are going to tax them. People in government, they want to get away with that all the time. They want to tell you, if it doesn't add to your income taxes, it's not tax. Yes, it is. So you're redistributing wealth. That's all you're doing, because in a value-added tax, the people that have more money will buy more of the product that has this tax on it. So then you take that money and you give it to the people who are buying less of that product. It's just it's a pyramid scheme for redistributing wealth. That's what it is. That's why I have an issue with it. If you're going to stand behind something like that, at least have the honesty to be right up front about how you plan on funding it. Don't say it's not a tax. Yes, it is. Spencer says, Curtis, I disagree on single-payer healthcare, but you do bring up good points. It's just frustrating because every modern country does it with less administration weight and bureaucracy costs. But again, the thing is, too, Spencer, for one thing, it's apples and oranges to compare any two countries because a litany of differences, whether it's just total population, whether it's how that population is spread out, whether it's whether it's simply the amount of ambition within a specific population. But the thing you got to remember is, yes, the other countries do it. Look at the different income tax structures, though. It's not like we're not doing it and we're still paying in the same amount to the government. Not even close. I looked at Denmark, and now I'm. This was a while ago, so I might be a little off on the numbers. And I wasn't looking at top tier. I wasn't looking at the rich. I think I looked at like $60,000 to $70,000 a year income, and I think your tax rate here in America was either 12 or 15%, and over there it was 41. And that's what I'm against. I don't think you come out ahead when you're willing to say to the government, here, take big hunks of my paycheck and then just redistribute it out. You'll do it fairly. I don't believe that. I think you're much better off for the government to say, here, keep the money in your paycheck, and here's how we're going to help you be able to afford this. We're going to do it on a very detailed basis. We're going to say, okay, the only job you're able to get at the time, and maybe it's the only job you want, that's fine too. All we care is people are out there trying, is working at a fast food joint. Well, obviously, you're not going to be able to take their wages and pay for health care in the open market. So we're going to look at what you make, and we're going to say, okay, give us $20 a week, and we're going to put you into this government health care plan. Yes, it would still require an extra tax burden to some degree on the general population. It would be significantly less, and I still believe so much easier to legislate without a lot of opposition if people know that they're paying taxes to help out people who are trying to help themselves. I'm a big believer in that. But that, yes, you're not wrong, Spencer, but you do have to look at what the different tax rates are. They are paying for it. And I can't speak for their governments. I know that I have no faith in our government to handle anything of that magnitude and not completely mess it up. And you got to remember too, when they do the numbers on this stuff, they fudge the shit out of them by intentionally leaving out subtle little factors, such as if you were to start paying hospitals and doctors across the board at the Medicare rate, they'd pretty much all go bankrupt. But yet they do the figures when they're figuring what it's going to cost. Given that it's just going, we're going to do Medicare for all, so it's all the same rate. No, it isn't, because private health care is carrying a lot of that onus, carrying a lot of that weight in keeping the hospitals and doctors afloat. There's a lot of little extras in there that the proponents don't really want you to take notice of. Guys, the most left state in the country, and not just when you look at a map, is California. It was a few years ago they were going to implement single payer health care. It was already everything was put into place until they got the bill. They were told by their own people, okay, this is what it's going to cost. And they went, okay, can't do that. Because they would have had to tax people to the point where people would have starved. It's there. I mean, you can look, you can Google it, you can look it up. It happened. There's a reason for that. Next post for Seizure. Okay, let me grab Cheyenne's. Celebrations on campus. 2 Georgetown alums already appointed for Biden's incoming cabinet. Oh, really? Very cool. No, Georgetown's a great school. That's very cool, Cheyenne. I didn't know that. I didn't see that. Very cool. Oh yeah, I'm sure they're hopping. Just like, I'm a big Notre Dame fan. Just like people in Notre Dame were hopping when Amy Coney Barrett was put on the Supreme Court. Seizure says, I don't care how rich no one is if they're not stealing from someone else, making an honest living, not undermining someone else's rights. Their money, they have every right to keep it. Could not agree with you more. I do not believe in exorbitant tax rates at any level. I don't care what somebody's making. I don't believe government has a right to take 70, 75, even 65% of somebody's wages. Well, no, it's only after a certain, it doesn't matter. It's not your fucking money. That's government just stealing from people. There are ways, and we've talked about a bunch of them already. There are ways to get people on the lower end of the pay scale brought up without having to basically rob from people. I'm with Seizure 100%. Yeah. If you made your money honestly, you got every right to it. Now, should you pay a higher tax rate? Absolutely, but we do now. We have a sliding scale now. Hey, Spencer Stream Boss. Philip, hey, another pussy pink sky. Thanks for the Thanks for the pussy pink sky, Philip. I appreciate it. Yeah, we got it. Oh, yeah, it's getting pretty pink up there. Pretty pink. Philip says, only two things are certain, death and taxes. Yeah. Hell, you'll be taxed once you're dead. Right. They're not even mutually exclusive. It's called inheritance tax. You're right. Which honestly, I'm morally opposed to. I agree. Person works all their life to leave something behind. Government doesn't get to be Johnny come lately. No, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of taxes that are real when you think about it that we just take for granted. I've always said for me, guys, it's like with car sales. Now, you buy a brand new car. When you go on the lot and buy it, you pay sales tax on it. Now, even if there's not a dealer involved, that car, you want another car, you buy another car, whatever the case may be. Now, you want to sell that old one, you sell it to your neighbor. They got to pay taxes on it again. It's like that's kind of a fucking scam right there. I can see having fees, which we already have besides that, for updating the registration and all that stuff. But there's a lot of little, that's bullshit. That item already had sales tax paid on it, a hefty amount of sales tax. But it's like, every time it changes hands, let's grab a little more. There's a lot of, this is why, and these things are also why I don't know why anybody wants to trust the government with large hunks of their money. Yarborough stream balls now. I think that pink should be Strawberry Fields Forever because the Beatles are damn awesome. Yes, it's funny you say that, Yarborough. I just, Strawberry Fields was just on, because I have a lot of Beatles songs in my mix. I've been, the last couple of days I had a lot of business to do in Schenectady, which is about a 35-minute drive from here. And I've been back and forth on the thruway, and Strawberry Fields Forever was today or yesterday. I forgot which, but it's funny you bring that up now. Yes, the Beatles are completely awesome. Thank you, not bad, says Curtis 2024. Absolutely. And see, and the reason I'm doing this, and the reason I'm saying this, guys, I'll go back to it all the time, is because this isn't the way we're doing things now. The divide isn't going to stop. The vitriol isn't going to stop, because Democrats and Republicans both need, in an election, they know they need to appease the extremists in their base. So we're never going to get to a point where either one of them is willing to say, back the fuck up. We're going to do things fairly. We're going to do it down the middle. We're not going to worry about party. We're going to try and do the things that are right for everybody. Because as soon as they do that within that party, as soon as the Democrats do that, the extremists on the left are going to say, no, you're not nearly progressive enough. I won't support you. As soon as the Republicans do that, the hardcore righties are going to go, no, we're not going to support that. I'm not paying taxes to help somebody in an inner city. That's what's going to happen. But they both know they need those votes. So they have to, at least, if nothing else, give the impression that they're going to do the things or throw some bones to those on the extremist sides. In the Curtis administration, that don't happen. I'm going to tell you exactly how I want to do everything, what my plans are, and I won't do it to appease anybody. Probably means I won't get elected, but so fucking what? At least you'll get the real deal. I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to say, no. Well, there's a lot to be said for single-payer healthcare. Let me look into. I'm not going to say that because I don't believe that. I don't believe in it. And I know some of you have a different opinion on that, and that's fine. But I don't believe in it, and I'm going to. That's it. So I do believe, however, there are the majority of us. I hope this is the case. The majority of us, if we felt that you had a president who was honestly going to try and do the best for everybody and doesn't give two shits about parties, is going to look at every individual item and try and do what's fairest for everybody, and would have an administration that has Republicans, has Democrats, has Libertarians, has people who are pertinent to who would be good at the job. If you have somebody like that, I still say I have enough faith in people, they would vote for them over this bullshit we've been putting up with for how many decades now, and just keeps getting worse and worse. Yarborough says, I am the pirate king of this stream, and you are the stream boss again, buddy. Willie says, I have eliminated Iowa, kept immigrants in my dungeon, and made the Geneva Convention look like a friendly suggestion. In other words, I'm in need of pardon. Yeah, you did do that whole Iowa thing. For those of you who weren't here, Willie did eliminate Iowa a while back. And, I mean, we could just call that an oops. Maybe like a mulligan, a redo.
Oh, yeah.
Check. Oh, now you're making it really complicated for me, Wolverine. Check my second to last post. Let's see. Oh, no, oh, spoiler alert! Nationwide is on your side. um, I'm here to kick gum and chew ass. That's a good screen name. Hey Curtis, I know it's off topic considering you've been talking about money. Sure, but what's your view as an LGBTQ plus? You'd have to get more specific. As being a proponent, I can honestly say, and I can back it up, that I've always been a proponent in the respect that I've always been a supporter of gay marriage. I told you guys, the reason I'm an ordained minister now is to go perform a wedding ceremony for a lesbian couple. I mean, especially being involved in the things I've been in the entertainment field and everything like that, you're going to make acquaintances and make friends with a lot of people in the LGBTQ community. So when you get to know people, it makes you more accepting of them. I have no problem with trans people. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to patronize you and say, oh, no, I can understand why, somebody born male wants to be a female or vice versa. I don't. I have no idea why that would be. But I'm perfectly willing to accept that it's the case for some people. The only thing that I can say that I feel where I get heat from the LGBTQ community is I'm not a believer in the inability in gender fluidity, in the inability to pick whether you want to be referred to, recognized as male or female. I think that opens up a can of worms that isn't even, to me, legitimate. So that's not to say that you can live your life any way you want. But to me, when you fill out a government form, you need to pick a side. And whatever happens beyond that, I am not a believer in the idea of non-gender. That's just how I look. And again, I got to be careful in saying that. I don't think that means because somebody has difficulty determining what gender they are, they believe they're something other than male or female, they should be allowed to be discriminated against or harmed in any way. I'm just saying I'm not in favor of going that extra mile on, this application through the government and saying male, female, other, or male, female lists several other options. I think for intents and purposes, you need to pick a dominant team. That's my take. Because it wouldn't be fair to just tell you the things I do that would be accepted by the LGBTQ community and not mention the things where I know I'm going to get heat from them. But overall, yes, I've always been a supporter. Again, I have too many friends, acquaintances, just people I've enjoyed over the years that are in that community to have any issue with them. Andrew says, here comes President Curtis to speak with Kim Jong-un. What's this? But God, RKO out of nowhere. I'd RKO that tubby little bastard. Even at, listen, even at 60, almost 60 years old, I'd lay out to hit an RKO on him if it was necessary. I'm just saying, if it ever came to that where it's like, okay, both of us are going to agree to put down our weapons and we'll just meet in the cage, I'll do that with Kim Jong-un. From what I hear, he's really sick though right now. Not that it would stop me. It just seems like it'd make an easier win. Anime Dolphin says, what are your views on prison reform? Besides certain violent crimes, I'm more for reform over, punishment. Also, just because someone made a bad choice doesn't mean they should be treated inhumanely. Yeah, I agree. I agree that there are a lot of crimes where people do not need to be incarcerated, for which they currently are incarcerated. I think if we are more even-handed with the handing out of prison sentences, it would alleviate some of the overcrowding, certainly in prisons. But reform might be preferable to punishment. But I'll be honest with you, in Curtis administration, there's not going to be tons of money pumped into, and that's not to say there won't be addressed, but pumping money into reforming criminals is not going to be first and foremost. There are things I think that money needs to be more well spent in the respect that we all have to make decisions in life. You committed a crime, you knew it was a crime, you knew what the penalty was, and you took your chances. Now, the reform is don't go back to prison again. But no, I don't think anybody should be treated inhumanely. And I do believe that there are a lot of crimes that are punishable by prison sentences where it's not necessary. I think there are other ways to punish, whether it's monetarily, whether it's restrictively. Give people other options. Give them the old ankle band and say, listen, we're letting you stay out of prison, but all we have to do is get this monitor outside your house or outside your vicinity once. And that's it. Then you get to go in. So again, you were given another decision. Start making good decisions. So I guess it'd be kind of a 50-50 thing. I completely agree with you. People get sent for prison for things that it's not necessarily for prison sentences. I'm not somebody that's going to spend a ton of money on trying to reform people. It's like at some point you got to start reforming yourself. It sucks that not everybody has the same amount of guidance growing up. But listen, if you're out there and you're doing, this is very basic, you're doing the bad thing and you know the bad thing has consequences, whatever the reason may be that you decide to do it, you got to face those consequences. But no, I don't think anybody should be treated inhumanely though. No, not at all. I don't know if that adequately answers your question or not. Hopefully it did. Yarborough says there are two sexes. Gender is its own concept separately. At least that's in my head. What part you got? That's what they asked. Now, see, but what I'm saying, and I stick to it. As far as I see, you have the male gender, the female gender. What someone else believes that there are shades of gray, it's just not a shared belief. I don't have a problem with people believing that. My administration would not allow anybody to be discriminated for it. However, I will not take that extra step and recognize it by saying, okay, we've got to put these 17 genders on here for everybody to have an option. If you can't comfortably pick one that you feel is your dominant trait, there's going to be an issue when you have to fill out a form. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. That's just how I feel. I think you're taking it to what is me to a ridiculous extreme. And that's how I feel on it. Again, it's very important to say I don't want anybody discriminated against for it. I would not allow for anybody to be demeaned for it. But you're going to have to nut up and just say, okay, I'm going to do... the only thing I might be willing to allow for, and I'd have to think about it, is a prefer not to answer. We're not going to give another option of gender. If you prefer not to answer, but... I don't know that would work in all situations, if for no other reason than sometimes statistical purposes are very important. I don't know. But yes, that's where I stand on it. So Jill says, Mr. Putin, tear down that wall. President Candy. Tear down that wall or put you through a table. Wolverine check last post. As head torturer for your 2024 presidency, if subbed anime doesn't wreck people, my music selection will. It's Lit Right Now, especially on Fridays. Oh, that Lit Right Now. For those of you who don't know, Lit Right Now is this music video we watched some time ago here on the channel that, as a group, we decided, and this is saying something, was actually worse than Rebecca Black's Friday. Oh, jeez, it was awful. Jack Queen says, check last post. Wolverine's gay. and Wolverine even went to the extra added length to post a super chat to the last post. Okay, that's pretty funny. Yarborough says, yo ho, pirate hijacking, and you got it too. Right as I was reading it, I see it pop up. Yarborough is like the Goose/Spaz comedy pirate here. I like that. This is like his move. He comes in right at the end and steals your booty. Huh. I can't talk about that. I'll get all distracted and turned on if I talk about stealing booty. Big Green says, but yes, recognizing 72 genders wouldn't work because then every random person would just pop up and say, hey, what about my gender? I'm an attack helicopter. Yeah, it's not something that I agree, Big Green. I'm not willing to entertain that. And it is important to note, I don't have a problem. If somebody wants to live their life and that's their belief, that's fine. But for the intents and purposes of you filling out this government form, which is what I as president am in charge of, is this government form, you got to pick a side. But again, that's not, I don't want that to bleed over and say that I have an issue with trans community at all. I don't. Again, I don't believe in patronizing people. I know sometimes people are, and I see politicians say it all the time, and heterosexual politicians who, as near as we can tell, have always been heterosexual say, well, I feel your pain, or I understand how you feel. How could you possibly understand? I'm not going to patronize somebody and say that. I don't know how that feels. I've never wanted to be a girl. I always, I like to touch girls and stuff like that. I like them to be my friends, but I don't. So why lie and say it? But I can, it doesn't seem all that foreign to me for that to be a possibility that somebody feels like they're just in the wrong body. It certainly seems reasonable enough to me. But I'm not a fan of that bullshit of patronizing people. Oh, I know how you feel. Well, no, I don't. Yarborough says, I'm after your candy booty, Curtis. that makes me happy. As long as somebody will be after my booty. Chrome says, any attempt at UBI leads to inflation. Yeah, absolutely, Chrome. And again, when you start putting in those VAT taxes, again, that's actually redundant. Putting in that VAT, it is a tax. You are taxing people. And again, it's a redistribution of wealth. Because when you put a tax on items, and the people with money are going to buy more of those items, the people without money are taking their money to give it to the other. That's all it is. It's just a redistribution. And that's why I wouldn't even mind as much if people were just upfront about it. Don't try. I mean, I understand if you read through, you can find that in those UBI plans. Say it. How are you going to pay for it? Well, we won't be adding any extra income tax. We can do it without it. How are you going to do that? Well, a VAT tax. Yeah. Well, so you are adding taxes. Excuse me, guys. Oh, okay. I just got to respond to this real quick. It's my daughter. This is very important. It's Santa Claus stuff. Okie dokie. Got that. Sorry about that, guys. Seizure says, for those in the chat who didn't get the reference, Reagan said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall in a famous speech referencing the Berlin Wall. Yeah, one of the most famous speeches of the 20th century, wouldn't you say? Mr. President, how would you deal with Antifa? Well, he says, sternly, no patience for anarchists, no patience for white supremacists, got no patience for anybody who wants to victimize others on behalf of their cause. No, they would be handled. And again, I know that was the big knock against Trump. Trust me, I have no trouble at all giving a big old fuck you to the white supremacists too. So don't have any use for Antifa and the way they go about things. Have no use for white supremacists and the way that they go about things. And that's something I feel strongly on. It's like if you want to continue to burn down the businesses of innocent people because you're pissed off about, I don't give a fuck what it is, yeah, we got a problem. Same thing there. I'm a big believer in First Amendment rights, but let me tell you something. If you're going to go out with tiki torches and you're going to be shouting slogans about how, you will not replace us, I can't arrest you for saying that because that's not a direct threat on anybody. But I'm telling you right now, if that's what you're going to do, I'm going to be watching for you to step over the line. Because if you step over that line into infringing on someone else's rights, I'm going to bat your ass down in a hurry. So that's where I stand on both of them. You guys know I don't believe in extremist measures for doing things. It's just like I was asked about, oh God, which one of the southern states, guys, just changed their flag that still had a Confederate flag within the flag? Was it Mississippi? Philip's still here. He'll know. Anyway, I was asked about, well, what do you think about that? Listen, that's how the process is supposed to work. You don't go rip the flags down and replace them with something else, just like you don't go ripping statues down. There is a process. You go to your government representatives and you get your desires heard. They did that the right way. People have an issue with it. The people they elected to represent them agreed, and that flag was changed. So of course I don't have a problem with it. That's how the system is supposed to work. It's the people on either side that are damaging stuff, hurting other people, burning shit down. Those are the ones I have a problem with. Philip says, you think you got dealt a bad hand? Go ahead, get a sex change. It's when you start forcing kids to transition before they hit puberty. Oh, I would absolutely have a problem with that as well. That I have a problem. Just because you wish to change early doesn't mean they have to. No, I 100% agree. I mean, as somebody who's raised a bunch of children, I can guarantee you that a 16-year-old even should not be allowed to make a punny life-altering decision like that. They are not ready for it. No. Nope. And I don't care what parent signs off on it. I don't care who supports it. Children should not be allowed to transition. Absolutely not. Now, I am also a believer in when you hit 18, if there were a draft, you can be drafted. So as long as we got that, you're calling 18 an adult. I'm not a believer in that either. As much as I don't like the idea of kids being out there drunk. It's hypocritical as hell to have the drinking age 21 and yet still allow kids to be drafted at 18. You're either an adult or you're not an adult. So the only thing I can say is once they hit 18, hey, they can do what they want. You can say, well, this kid is immature for 18, but we have to have a dividing point, and that's got to be it. But anyone under that age, I don't care what parent signed. I don't care who signs what. No, I don't believe that should be allowed. Chrome says, for a second I thought Phil was telling Curtis to get a sex change. The next Caitlyn Jenner, buckle up, buckaroos. Do you imagine? Oh, man. I am an unattractive dude. I would be the ugly. Oh, I'd be the ugliest woman ever. I would be. I think I would be uglier than Caitlyn Jenner. I really do. Can we write your speeches when you become president? Oh, it's a deal. Shut the fuck off, Jane. Now that's a blank check I'd be writing there.
Oh yeah.
I don't know that I'm quite ready to go that far. I'll let you guys have some input into them. Listen, I read some of the comments. You think I'm going to go out there and just do a blind cold read on a speech? Yarborough says, damn you, Phil, you're going to get kill hauled. Yep, Philip took over. You guys are funny. I want to recommend you a super YouTube channel. Whenever somebody says super now, I can't help but think of Frankie. You guys, because I read that as, I want to recommend you a super YouTube channel. Conservative Twins? You're not talking about, oh, God. Oh, the Hodge Twins, are you? Is that, because I like the Hodge Twins. They're entertaining. I don't find them too extreme. Yeah, I like the Hodge. If that's them. I don't know. I know they're conservative and they're twins, so I was assuming maybe it's them. If that's, Franklin says, if that's the case, change the age of adult 21. Right. Well, that's my stance, Franklin, is it's got to be across the board. You don't get to pick and choose when it's convenient for us as a government. You say, well, okay, if you think people can't make that decision at 18 of handling alcohol, that's fine. But then we don't get to make the decision as a government. Say, oh, guess what? We're going to ship you off someplace, maybe into the Middle East or something, and give you a gun, and you're going to go fight. So it's not how it works. That has always pissed me off. Government needs to at least be consistent, and they are not. Chrome says, well, I have won poetry competitions, LOL, and I am an artist, so I could write you a speech. How does a mix of Adolf and Stalin mixed with some Clinton-esque Pokemon go to the poll style? That it could, if nothing else, Chrome, it could end up being the most dissected speech in the history of political discourse. They are. I agree, Jack. He says Hodge Twins are funny. I'm not going to them for political advice personally, but they are funny. They are absolutely. And that's why I've always said, whether somebody agrees with you politically or not, somebody can still be entertaining. Somebody can still be funny. But yes, I do. I enjoy the Hodge Twins. I'm with you. I agree with them. Well, you guys know my take on things. if you're conservative, I'm going to agree with you on some things, not on others. If you're liberal, I'm going to agree with you on some things, not others. So it goes without saying. Jake says, so I looked up California bill on universal health care, and it's $400 billion, $200 billion greater than the local, state, and federal funding it currently receives. There you go. Jake looked it up for us, and that's why it was canned. They couldn't do it because, again, to get the money they needed, people would have starved to death. They would they would have had to raise taxes where people couldn't pay for their housing. They couldn't buy food. It's not as easy as everybody wants to make it believe, and it really pisses me off when you give people these false numbers about single payer health care and what its projected cost is, because again, they'll make these ridiculous assumptions to get to those final numbers that seem more palatable, and they'll leave out things like, as I mentioned, the fact that you cannot pay at Medicare or Medicare rates and have hospitals and doctors able to survive. So already you're going to be substantially upping what you need to support it. You also have to understand that when you have that, you're going to have a huge crush of people seeing the doctor. That's not a bad thing when somebody is really sick. It is a bad thing when the whole system is getting weighed down because, come on, let's face it. We got people in this country who will go to the doctor just because they don't want to go to work on a given day. We got hypochondriacs all over the place. And you might say, well, you can't let people who are honestly suffering continue to suffer because of them, but you still have to factor it in. I've always said, if you can look around yourself, your circle of friends and family, and you don't see a hypochondriac in there, somebody who would be at the doctor way more than is actually necessary, then you're that person. Because we all know one. Thank you for looking that up, by the way, too, Jake, because I couldn't remember what the numbers were. But yes, that's why it was canned. It was basically put into place, and they had the votes, and they had to shit can it because where are you going to get the money? Wolverine says, check my last 2 posts. Let's see. Hold on. I saw one. Wolverine says, I'm not a parent, nor do I want to be, but if I'm responsible for my niece or nephew, I demand that they be straight-A students if I'm going to pay for their transition. And then he says, same if I do end up having kids of my own. I'm not going to walk on my kids for any reason, assuming I have any. Yeah, that's the thing. We all have to face that. If I had a child who grew into an adult and wanted to transition, I mean, and was genuine about it, because obviously, if you're going to go to that level where you're actually going to have surgery and want to transition, you're pretty fucking serious about it. It's not going to be like a disown them thing or something for me. It's like, okay, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. Yeah, I'm certainly not going to lose my kid over it. Yeah, Brett says, Wolverine abused mod privileges, the multi-post. Ulfric's back, guys. Well, he was back. He's gone now. Yeah, that's when you know you're really, really desperate for attention. This loser here. Let's see. Yeah, Big Green. He's not here anymore. We're not even entertaining that. Again, if somebody wants attention, there are plenty of healthy ways to get it. I couldn't tell you how many private messages and stuff I get from people. Again, being an older guy, I think to a lot of people, it's just kind of a paternal feel or whatever the case may be. I get messages all the time from people who are saying, exactly that. I feel ignored. I just feel like, I just feel like I need somebody to talk to. I'm happy to talk to you all day long. I know how that feels. I think all of us do at certain times. And if it gets to be where it's overwhelming, I completely get that. And that's a healthy way of reaching out. Stuff like that. It's just, again, you're either 8 or you're just an idiot. Or you're an 8-year-old idiot. Go back to Conquering Skyrim, Lou says. Genesis Kaiser says, I heard, now this I can't comment on with any knowledge because I don't know. I had heard that in Russia you are free to be LGBT. However, they do not want LGBT content being aimed toward minors. Is that the case? I can't comment on because I don't know. I know historically Russia has been very unfriendly to the LGBT community. But I can't comment on that because I just don't know. So Jill says, when you become president, the mods are going to stage a coup and take over the government. Oh, you could be right, Sajil. Mods, you're going to do that. Don't coup me. Don't coup me because it sounds dirty. Chrome says, Fred, funny redhead, evil dude. Yeah, sure, that's Curtis, I guess. I get called worse all the time, Chrome, as you can well imagine. Didn't they ban gay marriage? I thought so, Jack. But again, I don't want to say because I'm not sure. I thought so.
Oh, yeah.
Harrison's running in 2036. Oh, cool. You can. Well, it'd be a little after. We're gonna win in 2024 and 2028, but then just have to have a holdover in 32, and then you can take over in 36. I hate because he's an idiot, because I'm a hardcore Imperial, Willie says. Yarborough says, agreed, fam. If you need to reach out, chat, DM me. I'll lend an ear to all my fam as long as I have the time. And there's a lot of people like that here. Hell, we've got a section of the of our Discord dedicated just to that. Yeah, but I get a lot of messages like that. And again, there's a healthy, productive way to ask, even if it is you just need attention. It's like anything else. You guys know. Hey, Yarborough took over as stream boss. That's my take on everything. Just be honest about things is the best way to go. If somebody says to me, and they don't even need a reason other than that. I mean, somebody's private messaging me saying, dude, I just feel ignored. I just want somebody to talk to. I'll chat with you. I think, we all get in those doldrums sometimes. Johnny says, oh, I lost it. Oh, it was retracted. Oh, okay. Lick says, wow, Fred really took it hard after losing his Nickelodeon deal. You guys are funny. That was response to Philip. Unintended yo-hoo. Yo-ho. Yarborough says, Yarborough is the pirate of the streams. Philip. There are some sick people in the world. I'm sorry. I missed that you were saying that someone else. Sorry, Philip. Willie did nothing wrong. Yeah, what did Willie do? Willie's cool. Ulfric, the Ulfric comment. See, I can't comment on that because I don't know any of the characters. Okay, gotcha. It takes me a while, but I catch up. Julia says, damn it, Curtis, I keep seeing your live face on my recommendations. I'm kind of with you, Julius. I could see where that would be. That would be offensive. Yeah. Yeah, Susan should probably think about that. How old am I now? Chrome says. I feel like knew in the past, but completely forgot. I'm 59, Chrome. The months are counting down. I'm 2 months past my 59th birthday, so I got 10 months left to the big 6-0. Oh, God. I keep wanting to bounce my head there, but I don't want to touch Afro Mike. I don't know where the fuck he's been. Curtis is, I like that line, Jack. Curtis is as old as man has dreamed. That's pretty cool. 60s? Chrome, hold on. I haven't been dragged to the 60s yet, and I ain't going quietly. I'm fighting. 30 years older, Itsunagi? You're in the prime, bro. Those years from like 25 to 35, good years. 40 years older than me. Listen, let's not do math in this stream. Doing math on this never comes out well for me. I've never been into Pokemon, Christian. The only knowledge I have about Pokemon is Spaz Kid and I used to play Pokemon Go together for a while. And it was a fun game. The only reason I got tired of it was there was no real point. We would go down and we'd take a base, and then you go back home and somebody else comes in and they take the base, and then you go back down, and it got old. But it was fun while it lasted till it got boring. Yeah, no, I get you, Chrome. I know you retired, so I assume it was 60 since the retirement age here. For the most part, it is here too. I was in a very fortunate work environment that the benefits that I had being hired when I did, because they don't even have them anymore, are very extensive in things like with my healthcare. I pay $0 for healthcare. and the coverage is better than Medicaid or Medicare or any of them. Along with that, you can retire at 55 as long as you had at least 20 years service. But you're right. Typically over here, same thing. Typical retirement age here was always 62. Now, as people are living longer, it's been more 65. And the government is trying to encourage people to continue working now until 72. Because, again, life expectancies are longer, and they're trying to do it to, ease up on the hit on Social Security and stuff. So, no, I completely get that. You're right. Typically speaking, people are not retired as young as I was. I was just in a fortunate situation. Let's see. Icewave says, watching you has always been very therapeutic. Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad I appreciate you saying that. How gray are your pubes? The pubes don't seem to gray, Jack. It's really weird how there's a different level of gray. I'd have to see the as you guys can see, the facial hair is almost gone completely gray. Now, if I go a few days without shaving my head, it looks like there's still a lot of that dark red tint to that. But let me see. I don't know if I have anything on here. I'd get you. Let me see if I got any pictures from like just 10 years ago. That you can see the difference in my facial hair. That's gone gray fast recently. Let me see what I got. Where would I have one? Because I put a lot of things onto. I cleaned off my drives and put them onto portable drives. Shit. Where would I have a? It's not gonna have. Oh no, it's not gonna have anything. What's this? Can you see the? Oh, that's a good one. Okay. I don't remember. This picture would be more than 10 years ago. Probably more like 15 or so. It's the blood picture I showed you guys the other day. I'll pull that one up here. Hold on, and you guys can see it. See what difference was. This would probably be going back. Probably like 17, 18 years though. Let's see. Add a picture. Okay, add source. All right, let me get that picture and I'll post it here for you guys. But this is closer to 20 years ago. But you can see there's barely any gray in it at the time. And now I don't think I have any pictures that are like 10 years ago. I mean I do, but not right on the computer here. Let's see. Then we get back to the chat. Curtis, no shave November, head included. Maybe December. Now, you know what it is, Yarborough? I've let it grow in a little here or there. It gets so itchy, it annoys the shit about me. It annoys the shit about me. It's the shit out of me. So I just end up scraping it all back off again. Yarborough says, get 10 years older, then stop aging. 69, baby. I would have liked... I know 69 is the coolest number. I would agree on that. But yeah, if I could have stopped aging, it would have been at 29, not 69. Jake says, my dad died on your birthday. If I have the date right, September 22nd. That is right. Oh, that's sad, though. So I guess it means you're my new daddy. I'm okay with that, Jake. I'll step in for Dad. I'm sorry to hear about your dad dying, though. Philip says, swinging sword, skull and bones, and pleasant company. I never pay my income tax and screw the GST. Screw it. Sailing down to Saskatoon, the terror of the seas. If you want to reach the co-op, boy, you got to get by me. I like that, Philip. What is that from? I'm going to read it once more because I read it horribly. A swinging sword, skull and bones, and pleasant company. I never pay my income tax and screw the GST. Screw it. Sailing down to Saskatoon, the terror of the seas. If you want to reach the co-op, boy, you got to get by me. That's pretty good. Oh, Chrome says, oh, I know that pic. It was one of the first ones that came up when I was making the first intro. That's always been one of my favorite pics just because it was so typical of my wrestling career. I had a concussion. I had a major laceration in the back of my head. You can see the blood just pouring to the front of my face from the back. And that wasn't a put on or a fake or anything. I loved that business so much. Somebody said, hey, Curtis, let me take a picture. I figuring they were, because they're ghouls, they wanted to take a picture of the blood. And so I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. I was having fun. Yarborough says, fire the defensive camp. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. Yarborough. Oh, yeah. Yarborough's got this pirate thing down. Now he's not only going on the offense to take over his stream boss, he's out there protecting his domain as well. Lix says, it's okay, Curtis. We got a thing for gills here. Thanks, Lix. Well, I did say on the government the government forums, you're gonna have to check one box or the other. I guess I'll have to go to the other. Johnny says, what Trump is doing in the Pentagon is very worrisome. We need to keep an eye on him. As your potential voter, I want to know what your opinion on what this sort of little bitch is doing. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that. Listen, I am all for, if you feel that there was any type of impropriety in an election, I think it's good that we have this system, the legal system, to take it through to make sure that didn't happen. For me, I have seen nothing of real significance. We did see those 6,000 votes get transferred over. It was recognized, it was rectified, it was said there was just human error. But that's worth having an investigation into. The petulant little horse shit that he's coming up with over it annoys the shit out of me. Listen, dude, you have every right to challenge this legally. Go ahead. Let it play out. And if it turns out that everything was on the up and up and your legal challenges are defeated, shut up and turn over the reins of power and concede. Don't be a bitch. That's my bottom line to everything. Don't be a bitch. And that's kind of what Trump's being right now about it. You have every right to challenge it legally. It's not necessary to be on social media all hours of the day and night screaming and crying how you got screwed and do this and do that. And anybody who doesn't stand with me is against me type thing. Look, you've got your legal avenues and you're traveling down them. Let's wait and see what happens. That's all there's to it. Other than that, shut up about it. Who's going to be our Kayleigh McEnany? I don't know. We don't have a press secretary yet, or someone to speak to the press on our behalf. Actually, in my administration, Sujil, that will not be as big a position because I will be, as long as it can be scheduled, I have no problem going out and facing the press every day. I would rather do it myself. Get it right. You don't have to ask somebody to ask me. Ask me. I think that's the way it should be.
Oh,
I'll go out there. I don't. If you're not going to lie to people and you're going to be upfront with people, why would you be afraid to do it? I would imagine as president, you're not always going to have the time in your day to do that, but that's what I would prefer. Philip says a song by a Canadian group called the Arrogant Worms. It's called The Last Saskatchewan Pirate. Arrogant Worms. I like that. For those who don't know, Philip had posted lyrics earlier, and I was asking where it was from. It's about a farmer who loses his land and becomes a pirate despite being in a landlocked province. That's pretty funny, actually. The Arrogant One. Come on. Just by the group name alone, that sounds like somebody I would be into, the Arrogant Worms. Oh, no, Ty. Gotta hijack the stream for a sec to talk about our Lord and Savior, Pineapple Pizza. I think we're having pizza tonight, too. Thursday night, we usually have friends over. We watch football together and stuff. And, all right. I've got to pack up the stream. I got to tell you guys, and you made me think of this, Ty, because it brought up Thursday and football and stuff. I got to tell you my tales of woe. Listen, you guys will like this. I'm not. I enjoy gambling. I'm not a heavy gambler, but what I will play the most is usually either blackjack because I'm an odds and stats freak and I do pretty well at it, and I bet on college football because I'm a college football nut. And long story short, you can get some really favorable lines in college football where you can in pro, because pro, everybody's too into it because it's the voting public, the betting public, that makes the odds. And people are too savvy on pro. But you'll see lines that, whether you win or lose, are really skewed and you can take advantage of in college all the time. So needless to say, just for this season alone, I've done really, really well already. And so last night I had a game I liked. I have one I like tonight too. It was Toledo versus Western Kentucky. Now, with the weather being clear and everything, must not sink transferred funds. Yarborough says he's keeping afloat. So in the game last night, the first thing that jumped out at me was the over-under was at 58 points. It's like this game's going to be way the hell over. Both defenses are not very good. Both offenses are excellent. So I bet the over, and then I combined it with betting Toledo because I liked them to win the game, and they were actually getting 2 points. So I go down to the casino. As I said, I like playing blackjack, and I played some blackjack. I actually won playing blackjack the whole stake that I had wanted to bet on the game. So I couldn't lose either way. So I go over, I make my sports bets. Now, guys, if those two things happen, because parlays pay big, I would have won $1,100. I don't know about any of you. That's a substantial amount of money to me. Had it locked up the whole way. They had scored, it was 14-14 after the first quarter. We already had 28 points. The over-under was only 58. Second quarter, Toledo, my team, starts taking over. Fast forward to the fourth quarter. I'm blaming my wife for jinxing it. I was watching upstairs. She was still downstairs. She texts up to me. She goes, "Are you winning?" I said, "Well, the game's not over yet, but it looks really good," because my team is up by 10. They're driving. They're inside the Western Michigan 10-yard line. They're about to score another touchdown, go up presumably by 17. As soon as she texts me, they get 2 stupid penalties and back themselves up. So they don't get the touchdown, but it's like, okay, it's a chip shot field goal. It's 31 yards. So they bring out the field goal kicker. I don't know if he had an aneurysm. I don't know if he just brain farted. I don't know if he isn't actually the kicker and he's actually somebody who works in the AV department. But he came up and he kicked the ball right directly into the guys at the line of scrimmage. It never got any height at all. Nobody jumped to block it or anything. He kicked it right into their asses. I'm like, how the hell does that happen? So instead of being up 13, I'm up 10. No biggie. Western Kentucky, the other team, gets the ball back. Under 3 minutes to go. They're deep in their own end. I'm like, we're safe. Toledo gives up yards, chunk yards, boom, boom, boom. Then a 39-yard pass all the way down to the 2-yard line. They push it in, they score. I'm like, now I'm only up by 3. It's like, well, I'm still good because they're Western Kentucky's out of timeouts. There's only 52 seconds left. So all we got to do is cover the onside kick. Game's over. They kick the onside kick. Dumbass kid goes down, grabs the ball, squirts out of his arms. Western Kentucky jumps on it. I'm like, okay. Well, I'm sorry. Western Kentucky had missed the point after, so they're actually behind by 4. So I'm like, now even a field goal doesn't tie it. They got to have a touchdown. There's only 47 seconds left. With 17 seconds left, they pull this cool little trick play, catches Toledo completely off guard. Guy is standing wide open in the end zone. Touchdown. I lose $1,100 like that, and I had it all night. All night I was ahead. And I'm going to bitch. I'm going to be a little bitch about it. I still tease people, Alabama, and tease the people of Alabama because in 2012, Alabama kicked the snot out of my Irish in a national championship game. I'm not going to get over this anytime soon.
Oh,
I said Kentucky. I said Western Michigan. I meant goddamn Western Michigan. Last I can afford this week. Nami going to be pissed. Yarborough says, "Well, you did a good job of maintaining Stream Boss, but the ball is not a ball." Rosa says, "My knowledge on American football: the ball is not a ball." But yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, I wasn't. Jake says, "Sorry, it's been 13 years. He was a huge Michigan fan in the last college football game. So, I didn't see who it was Michigan beating ND 38-0. I remember that too well. The day he died, Michigan was playing. Oh, you told your dad. Okay, was playing PSU, but he died before the game. Aw, that's sad. Well, if I'll say this, if Notre Dame had to take that beating, I'm glad your dad at least got to see it. Because I took that beat. I walked away from there like I'd been kicked in the nuts after that game. Yikes. But if any of you want to follow along, the stream's almost over. But if you want to follow along, see how I do. There was a game I liked tonight too. Now tonight, I have another. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? Ty says, this reminded me of a joke. The reason Nevada took so long counting the votes is when we got 21, someone said Boston would take the votes. Are we back? What the hell? Susan, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, hold on, guys. Come on, Susan. God damn it. Now I'm just trying to see if are we back at all, guys? Yeah, we got. Hold on a second. It's trying to come back, guys. I'm still trying to talk to you. It's trying to come back. Okay, so you guys can see now and everything. God damn it, Susan. What did we talk about this time that apparently pissed Susan off? Jesus Christ. I'm going to read this, though, again, now that it can be heard. Ty said, that just reminded me of a joke. The reason Nevada took so long counting the votes is when we got to 21, someone said bust and would take the votes. Yeah. Again, being a blackjack player from way back, once you hit 21, it's over. You're right. Yeah, it was just another Susanism, guys. At least we got to come back long enough to say goodbye. Now, there's been some confusion. Just so you guys know, we only distribute sticky stuff during the chat streams, not during gaming or political streams. But that means tomorrow is Free for All Friday, and the sticky stuff is gonna be elite. I highly encourage you tomorrow to come to tomorrow's stream and make sure, and of course, bring your officially licensed sticky stuff fanny pack, because it's going to be some quality sticky stuff tomorrow. I know, we talked about football, and that's what, all the controversial things we talked about, Big Green, football is what did it. Susan probably had something to do with me getting screwed in that game. I think that's what it is. Susan had something to do with Western Kentucky winning. But as I said, if you guys want to follow along, see if I'm crying or not later, there was a game tonight I wanted. I don't know if this got out there before Susan had an aneurysm. But tonight, I have Boise State to win, but they got to win by more than 14. And the total of the two teams has to combine to score more than 61 points. So if you want to see if I'm very excited later or having a little hissy fit, just check out the game. Guys, thank you very much. As I said, again, I don't know what went out and what didn't. We don't do, but you heard all that stuff, I'm sure. We don't do the sticky stuff distribution except in regular chat streams, not in political or gaming streams. But again, tomorrow is Free for All Friday. And the sticky stuff, oh, like I say, it's going to be, oh, I don't even like touching myself in relation to talking about sticky stuff. Thanks for this stream, guys. I appreciate it. And as soon as I can get enough time to put into work on it, Curtis2024.com will be up, and we're going to really start kicking shit into high gear, because we're going to get rid of all the vitriol, and we're going to get rid of the stupidity of left versus right and all that stuff. Whoa, it's going to be so good. I'll talk to you guys later. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow for Free for All Friday.